Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this special video. As you can see, I'm in an environment that's not the usual one for this channel, but that's okay. I was visiting my friend Boostler, and we decided why not have a little talk about Formula One. What's happening, and above all, what's in store for the end of this season, where there are only 2 rounds left to decide this World Championship. How are you, Boostler?
Very well, thank you very much, Skyline. I'm very excited about this kind of content because I think both of us stay more on the offline side, or me doing live streams, but I've never gotten into this world of YouTube and having these kinds of conversations. So I'm very grateful that you're joining me here in this project and that we're doing this together. It really makes me happy.
Well, as I mentioned, this is a little chat to cover the most recent topics in Formula One and motorsports. If you like it, please give us your feedback and we'll consider doing it a little more often, right now. It's a more casual, improvised way to have a conversation, especially since the season's end is so interesting.
For example, at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, you could see McLaren's concern. I don't think it's just the thickness of the plank they have on the floor. I think there's more to this. I saw them really upset. And I think all that investigation the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile is doing on McLaren could bring something else, and they might lose pace in the upcoming races. Maybe that's something we could be talking about.
I don't think so. I've always believed playing at the edge of regulations isn't illegal, though there have been some issues. Rumors say the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile discovered possible expandable titanium skid plates in Brazil. With this, some teams were supposedly managing to get the car closer to the ground and with that prevent the skid plate from wearing out. And in the end, it matches what happened to McLaren at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Well, Butler, I don't know. What do you think? Should we talk a little bit about, obviously, the McLaren topic? Everyone's talking about it. Ultimately, I believe it's more about what could happen for Qatar than these things. We can also discuss the renewed battle for the Drivers' Championship. What?
How competitive will McLaren be after the wake-up call they received? Maybe this means that in Qatar they'll have to make some changes in ride height. And we're talking about a circuit with very fast corners that could really affect them if they don't get the right setup.
That's been said lately, and it matches what we've seen this season, is that Red Bull had already caught up to McLaren. Since the Italian Grand Prix, Red Bull matched McLaren's performance on low downforce tracks. And it seems that because of that, McLaren has decided to be more aggressive with the car's setup, precisely to prevent Verstappen from beating them. It worked for them in Mexico and Brazil, though in Brazil they reportedly got their first warning about the floor plank issue. They arrive in Las Vegas, where, as you mentioned, it seems the lack of practice sessions is an issue. Super bumpy Las Vegas asphalt and the ultra-aggressive setup that McLaren had. Ultimately, it caused the team's disqualification.
Yes, and aside from the car, the performance, whether good or bad, the psychological strain on both drivers will be intense, especially for Norris, who has been stronger lately. Piastri's performance drop is odd. It doesn't make sense to me. I think there's internal conflict at McLaren and clear favoritism. So yes, in that sense, Piastri feels he has nothing left to lose. Norris had pulled far ahead, as shown by the dramatically changed performance in the last few races. Now you have 2 drivers with nothing to lose, Max and Piastri, since Piastri knows Norris is favored and will also go all out. So, the one who's going to be under the most pressure, the one who's most affected, and the one who has the most real chances of winning the championship is Norris. That will work against him since we've seen Norris make mistakes. He's not always consistent, but sometimes has spectacular races. He suddenly fades, then spins out of nowhere. He'll be under intense psychological pressure this weekend.
Right? Plus, you just came from a Grand Prix where you basically had the title locked up. I mean, you had Verstappen 42 points behind and Piastri was 30 points behind, and suddenly everything changes. And again, Piastri is 24 points behind, and now Norris, Verstappen, is also 24 points behind along with Piastri, both tied. And obviously, that's not easy to manage. What I want to ask you, Boostler, do you think that in the current situation, even though Piastri still has a shot at the title, are they going to give team orders for this Grand Prix? And is McLaren going to say, you know what, let's secure this?
No, I don't think there will be any team orders. They've already had a lot of media attacks over favoritism, so I think they can't afford to tarnish McLaren's name any further with the favoritism that Zak Brown has shown. So I'm sure they won't burn themselves, but they're going to fight. Piastri, I'm sure he could even go as far as making contact with Norris just to get the position from him, even if it's because Piastri had already lost it. Thanks to what happened, Piastri even smiled when both of them were disqualified. What happens if Verstappen, for example, in the sprint qualifying is 2 tenths ahead of the rest? That's already a projection for the race qualifying.
The same thing we saw in Brazil.
Norris?
Dominated the whole weekend and they couldn't fix it until Red Bull completely changed the car, braking parc fermé.
Closed. Exactly. So you're saying Verstappen is more reliable than Norris, so if he gets a slightly better car, he won't lose his advantage, right? If Verstappen wins both the sprint and the race, how would that affect his championship position? Look.
At this point. In particular, Norris could finish third in all the races, in Qatar and Yas Marina, and he could afford a fourth place in the sprint. And he becomes world champion.
Or,
Right now it doesn't depend 100% on Verstappen. Verstappen still needs an external factor. The way I see it is, I don't know how you see it. I also think, even though I'm a fan of the McLaren team, I don't think so.
are you a fan of the McLaren team? Yes.
I've said it 1,000 times.
Because you're on my channel?
Even if Verstappen wins, it all depends on something else. With Norris, there's a 24-point gap, almost an entire Grand Prix. It's really tough for him. Verstappen still needs an external factor, which is for something to happen to Lando. If Norris finishes second or third in all races, he's the champion. Even if he finishes fourth in Qatar but finishes second in the next Grand Prix, Lando Norris is champion. I'm sure they may not give team orders in this Grand Prix, but did in the last one. Even if Piastri is allowed to fight, with him in second and Norris third, neither can challenge Verstappen. They're going to say, switch, you're out.
Chance that might actually happen, but it's justified. And justified. Another thing, Mercedes is doing really well right now, and they could be a factor in getting into the fight for the podiums and affecting Norris and Piastri in the competition. Because look, previously Mercedes was even further behind Ferrari too, and it was very difficult for a third team to sneak onto the podium. Since Mercedes is strong now, maybe Antonelli and Rossi will start challenging the McLarens too. Even Verstappen could get involved, which might actually benefit him. Now, what would happen if Norris did not finish in the sprint?
There's actually a scenario where all three tie if Piastri doesn't get Verstappen. I don't know it. You'll see it here. It doesn't happen.
I owe you that one. Not sure how they'll handle the pressure, Norris. Whether it's because the next race, this weekend, actually the sprint and the race, will determine how he gets to the final. Or does he know this is his last chance to gain an advantage? You're not facing just anyone. It's someone who never makes mistakes.
Who has the experience of having gone up against Lewis Hamilton?
Right, you can't compare Max's contest in an inferior car to the Mercedes that Hamilton was driving. So, does he see Norris as a kid? Honestly?
No, and over the years, much about Norris. I don't think he's a bad driver.
No, I'm not saying he's a bad driver. He's shown flashes and dominated.
Sorry, does he have this at season's end?
He's a good driver, but not at Max Verstappen's 120% level. That's the difference. Yes, Max Verstappen is extraordinary.
No, and how many times has he beaten him on the track? Yes.
No. It's in the starts, in the strategies, in battles, race pace, even in the tires. He looks after them, but when Norris pushes, they get even more from them. He keeps him firmly under control, which is likely what Norris fears. You're facing the best.
So I do think that McLaren decided to take more risks so that Verstappen wouldn't win the title, and the risk ended up coming in this great Las Vegas championship. But
imagine despite all that risk and the car's supposed grip advantage, yes?
Yes, obviously.
They didn't have the pace.
In Las Vegas. But what's happening in Mexico and Brazil?
Of course, let's see. They need one where there's more downforce. That's where McLaren shines. Qatar is a track with a lot of downforce. But do you agree that, like with Verstappen, changing one thing messes up something else? So maybe they, knowing they could lower the car even more, did it work? The other components, all the engineering behind a Formula One car, move one thing a millimeter and everything gets messed up. And maybe I'm gonna say something that a lot of people won't like, but I do feel that Norris also deserves a bit more to be world champion. What did you say about
end of the season? Piastri really fell off. Disastrous.
But we also don't know if Piastri, let's see, like what happened to Checo, that his drop in performance. Favoritism seems odd to me, especially with Piastri. You don't just forget how to drive. Norris had it under control, and race after race, Paul, he was gaining seconds on him. Cold-blooded when overtaking. Do you remember when he overtook Hamilton in Leda? Piastri is really good, but on the other hand, Norris has been at McLaren for a long time. He's very loyal to the team. This is a talented person who's been denied opportunities, and I think Piastri has also made mistakes. Norris, for example, lost his chance in Canada when he made a mistake. It's happened to me 3 times in the simulator, and I feel like an idiot. I can't imagine how he felt, but even the best make mistakes. Senna crashed in Monaco, for example.
The mistake this season by Verstappen, which was going and ramming Russell.
You make those mistakes. If Norris hadn't had that silly mistake in Canada, he would have been tied or ahead of Piastri. No.
That's already talking about several assumptions because
But are we talking about Norris's most obvious, most avoidable mistake? No, if that hadn't happened, Norris would have been in the fight and there wouldn't have been as much trouble from those crushing him. It was because of that small mistake and obviously he got demoralized. What I'm getting at is that the hate Norris gets isn't
very excessive.
It's excessive, like when Max Verstappen back in his day was Traicha. Well, he always has been, but at his peak, people used to boo Traicha and treat him the way they're treating Norris now, and now people want Max to win. So you'll never be able to please everyone. Norris may be arrogant and cocky at times, but he's still a good driver. I think he gets too much hate. It became a trend to pick on someone, and each year they look for a new target. I do think that in some way he does deserve to be champion if he ends up being champion.
In fact, it's the first time in my life that I see people supporting a driver who's already a champion more than the underdog, the driver who isn't a champion. I mean, for example, when it was the Verstappen-Hamilton duel, most people were rooting for Verstappen because they didn't want to see Hamilton as champion anymore. This is the first time I've seen it. Returning to the example, when it was Hamilton versus Rosberg, most supported Rosberg as champion, but
what happens here, unlike those seasons, is that we're saying he has a weaker car. He's the underdog in terms of car performance.
Well, yes, but no, but he's the champion. People want to keep watching champion, of course, because
he deserves it. Yes, exactly. Because there are champions who get boring because you say, dude, you have the best car. You're not proving anything except against your teammate. I think that
you'll agree that if we were talking about who deserves it, Verstappen deserves to be champion, just by merit.
Yes, based on merit with a weaker car, but I'm referring to McLaren. If anyone else deserves to be champion, it's someone from McLaren. Is Norris ahead of Piastri? Norris has helped develop the car and had some strong races, but also made mistakes like everyone. The hate is what I find a bit excessive now.
No, it's already, I mean, I've seen a lot of things. Norris gets criticized for everything. I mean, and the people on this channel know it. I don't hate on any driver without reason. And sometimes, well, I say it's just that Verstappen also set the bar really high for what it means to be a world champion. People just don't connect with Norris and Piastri when they see them. Well, it's just that this one isn't showing me the same thing that Verstappen showed me in the past. But from there, falling into the hate that Norris gets, I don't particularly agree with that anymore. I remember he won the Mexican Grand Prix, but people were already criticizing him. He didn't wear the hat on the podium, he put it on the car instead.
Look, and I'm not even a fan of Norris, not at all. Have I ever seen him as someone who's arrogant? You can...
Like him.
Yes, but that's different from insulting or taking away credit for what he does. Well, it's a bit out of place. And I think this is something that also comes with this wave of people who are getting interested in Formula One. Look, personally, I don't make fun of Netflix fans or anything like that either. You have to develop a taste for this sport. It's unlikely you'll just wake up wanting to watch Formula One. Or that you accidentally wake up at 7 in the morning on a Sunday, turn on a race and say, no way, I get it now. I mean, it's very difficult. Is it an acquired taste or something someone passes down to you? But also that people know how to tell the difference. Well, it's not like a sport like soccer, right? I mean, like I'm rooting for Cruz Azul or I'm rooting for Chivas, or you can have favorites, but what you really enjoy in this sport is the competition and engineering. It led me to go to a Grand Prix where unfortunately when Checo had the accident, there were people leaving the Grand Prix. When really you're not at the sport just because you want to see someone win. Are you enjoying it? How advanced is the technology, engineering, and driver talent in these cars? And I think those are the people who take these things a bit badly and keep going along with the booing. For example, at the Mexican Grand Prix, someone might ask, why are we booing him? I mean, yeah, that was his question. He didn't like him because he made comments against Checo. Yeah, and things like that. But not even to Lawson, who was the harshest with Checo, nobody did anything to him. I didn't see.
At the Grand Prix, nothing. But I had
a lot. I mean, yeah, I saw a lot of people who were like that. Like, what? Why are they booing that guy? Oh, well, me too. And they'd stand up and boo him, and it was like, no way. I mean, does it happen a lot because of a lack of information that people get an idea about someone? They'll just repeat it. People asked why we hated Norris. I said everyone can have their own opinions.
I think much of the hate he gets is just because it's trendy to hate on Norris. I understand, and I know there are a lot of people who don't like him, mainly because of how arrogant and conceited he has become, right? Many, myself included, don't see him as a better driver than others on the grid. I agree, and so do you. Or, for example, personally, I don't see him as better than Verstappen.
No, never. I completely agree. And that arrogance and pride he sometimes shows, Max, do whatever you want, you're a badass.
He has 4 world titles and he's going for his 5th.
Of course, you actually have what it takes to say whatever you want. That's why people accept those comments from Verstappen. The issue is, Norris made similar comments too early and messed up. But well, he handles it very poorly. And
do you see the comments when Verstappen does it? Everyone, even the GOAT, talks about it.
it's crazy, man. Of course,
Because he says it's not like he cried to get the position back at the Italian Grand Prix. It's not like he cried about this. I've started looking into these things because I'm nosy. For example, at the Italian Grand Prix, a bad pit stop caused Lando to fall behind Piastri. I was following Norris's onboard for that entire lap. And Norris didn't say absolutely anything. He didn't say anything. I mean, he didn't comment on anything. They told him from the team. You came out 2 seconds behind Piastri, total silence. I mean, he didn't say absolutely anything. The team decides to swap positions, but Norris didn't intervene directly. Yes,
it's the team that then makes the decisions. And well, he just follows them. I mean, he's not going to say like, okay, I'll let him pass. But yeah, just that comment. Actually, I think we went on for too long. Lando de Norris. This is a side note, so you know that we are the original founders of the McLaren Mexico fan club. Are you?
seeing that they're not letting up on me on Twitter.
We want tickets for the Paraguay Grand Prix in the paddock for next year. Just so you know, we're huge fans of Lando Norris.
And well, going back a bit to Norris, obviously there are 2 points. He has the opportunity to finish it. He was doing really well in this World Championship. I mean, up until the Grand Prix, I think from the United States onward, he was doing really well, even when he had that double did not finish in the sprint. Because of Piastri's maneuver, I wouldn't say it was because of the contact with Piastri, but rather it was a maneuver by Piastri that caused everything. He seemed calm, the race still went on, he managed to finish second. Verstappen looked unbeatable, and from there he managed the victory very well at the Mexican Grand Prix. In Brazil, he dominated all weekend. In Las Vegas, aside from his early mistake, he finished second, which was what he needed. He showed great strength at season's end and must do it again. Norris shouldn't aim for third every race. He should focus on winning this Grand Prix. Release the pressure. Stay unaffected in the last Grand Prix.
But something I feel that it was a mistake I shouldn't make at this stage. In Las Vegas, when he closed in, Max Verstappen could have made contact. Yeah, it was risky for him, especially considering what happened with Ricciardo and Verstappen in Baku. He closes in, and both of them hold their ground. And one loses the braking reference because he's too far on the inside. He can't take the corner. He risked a did not finish and letting Piastri through. Isn't he considering that? So that already shows you that he's a bit out of control emotionally about how to win and that he's not keeping a cool head. Another one would say, no problem. I mean, I'm ahead by so many points, I'm not going to risk a did not finish. If you had a better start, I'll stay behind and try to beat you with an undercut or strategy, but not risk everything. Especially since he's the one who has to be careful. And if he doesn't have that mentality right now, just wait for the last 2 races.
Do you guys know what the problem is? What I see is that Norris gets really nervous around Verstappen because he didn't make this mistake in Mexico or Brazil. In both starts, and the start in Mexico, one of the toughest on the calendar, he handled both of them. Ferrari blocked them, maintained the lead, and entered turn 1 in first. And in the sprint in Brazil, in the main race, he had very easy starts. Yes.
But that's because he doesn't have Verstappen's dog behind him. Exactly like an animal.
That's where it is, right there. I think what still hasn't clicked for Norris is being, I'm not saying he's not aggressive, but that he should be
Calculating, that he should be more like Prost rather than a kamikaze.
Norris has always been criticized for that, which is why many people call him soft. People say he's not aggressive and doesn't go for more, but when he was, it didn't work out. I don't think it's that he has to
Be more, but aggressiveness, I mean a calculated aggressiveness, yes. Be aggressive when you need to be, or smart, of course, because that aggressiveness right now only gets you a did not finish. You gave Piastri and Verstappen a clear path and now you won't catch them. I mean, no. I mean, it happened because he was disqualified. In the end, it ended up happening.
It would have worked in the Grand Prix if there was a double did not finish. Like if Verstappen crashed with him and both did not finish Ed. Piastri wins, gets disqualified, that's it.
Of course, yes, love.
It would have been super profitable for
Norris?
I mean, obviously he couldn't have known, right? Of course.
Yeah.
No, but I think he's lacking intelligence, especially with Verstappen. He doesn't want to engage.
At being better than you?
I'm better than you. Let's see who's got the bigger one.
It's an ego fight, quick starts and mistakes. That's just how it is. Verstappen, it's not a fight. I mean, Verstappen does it by nature because he's really the best at it. And Norris wants to prove something. So when you want to prove something, well, you don't do it the same way as when, naturally, your driving style is like Verstappen's. Being aggressive, but when he tries to act aggressive, it doesn't feel natural for him. He's gonna end up messing it up because now, for example, in Canada, he was aggressive, he didn't calculate well, and I don't know what he did.
And he took...
I mean, no. Honestly, nobody really understands what was going through his head. But I do think he's going to win this championship. I mean, do you know why? I think so. Do you know why? Is the pressure too much? I mean, how many years has Norris been in Formula 1? 8 years. 8? Okay, imagine 8 years with a car that wasn't competitive, struggling. McLaren suddenly gets competitive. Last year, it didn't work out for him because they gave away a lot of things. The Red Bull was still quite competitive. Now it was the ideal formula for it to happen. Isn't he taking advantage of it? I mean, one of the two should have already been champion with 4 races to go. If they hadn't done everything they did, right? I mean, with the papaya rules, suddenly Piastri's performance drops. Let's do this quickly. Leave it in the comments. Do you really think there's sabotage against Piastri? I think so. I don't. I do. No, I don't. No, I do. Just look at what was happening with Checo.
Yeah, I get it. But with Checo, what do you mean? With what? No.
Sabotage? It's abandonment by the pit crew, abandonment by the second garage. Zach Brown clearly has interests with Orlando Norris, which have already surfaced.
From what I've seen and why I don't think it's sabotage, it's because how comfortable was Piastri feeling with his driving style up until Singapore probably, right? That was his last race looking strong. There was an interview they did with Lando Norris where he mentioned that he went to his team of engineers and told them, if there's a feature of the car that I don't like, and if we don't change that feature, we're going to lose everything. All upcoming races, what follows the United States. That's when the level rises, when rumors start about them lowering the floor further and using more aggressive setups. I've noticed since Piastri joined Formula 1 that he really struggles to adapt to new environments. Last year after the updates, Piastri began having car problems again. He didn't understand how to manage the tires, he didn't understand how to handle the car. And the words that Piastri has said from then until now are, I'm not feeling comfortable with my driving style. Well, it's not his
driving style. It's the response or the input that the car is giving him.
Yes, but what I mean is, what happened after that conversation with Norris? Did the team use more aggressive setups? And that's where Piastri hasn't been able to execute his style in the car and has lost performance. Besides, this was said by André Stella. Circuits with low grip. They are Piastri's headache. I mean, that's where he tends to be less effective than Norris, unlike Piastri on low grip circuits. But are you
telling me that half the calendar or more, Piastri dominated and suddenly
they caught up?
All the low grip circuits.
But aren't you taking into account the aggressive setup? Besides, Mexico, Brazil, and Las Vegas were circuits, but I don't know.
Doesn't it seem like too much of a coincidence to you that all the mess, the rumors, and the anger about papaya rules started, and to benefit Lando? That comes to light and suddenly it all goes to hell. Piastri's performance. It all seems like coincidences to me that happen at just the right moment for the interest behind it.
But look, Piastri, why did he lose the points he's lost up to now? Was it because McLaren magically messed with his car? Or is it because he crashed twice in Singapore? He left the door wide open. If Norris had done this in Singapore, they'd be tearing him apart. From Melissa's...
To see the mistake in Singapore from Piastri, and also in Baku, right? Yes, there were 2.
There were 3. He crashed into the wall twice in qualifying and the race and also did a jump start. How he lets his teammate overtake him in turn 1 or 2 of Singapore.
2 and
then the move during the United States sprint. That was also his fault. That's where the points are. I mean, yes, his performance has dropped since the United States, but most of the points he lost were because of mistakes he made himself.
But maybe those mistakes happened because he couldn't handle the car well. Because the car was a bit hard to handle, like what happened to Checo and Max.
For example, our only reference from Azerbaijan is that Grand Prix qualifying session. Piastri was setting delayed records until a red flag from Charles Leclerc in Q3. He had the car and was making progress.
Flying.
I mean, it was very...
on the edge and he screwed up, yeah.
And that was on him. Well...
yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's why I did it. I can't prove that it exists, not sabotage, because it's something that neither you nor I nor anyone on this side knows, right?
Yeah, we're assuming things, but it's just strange to dominate the first half of the year and then completely fall apart in the second. Checo had similar experiences. He'd arrive in Canada and everything would fall apart.
But what did it coincide with? Was it an update? Yes.
What did it coincide with? Who was the update for?
Verstappen?
Who was the update for here? For Norris?
But there haven't been updates in a while.
Didn't Norris say they wouldn't get anywhere? No. But, they didn't update the car. They changed the setup. They adjusted the setup. Let's call it an update or a car configuration. It's changing the...
As I said earlier, Piastri can't adapt to that change.
But why are they making changes for Norris when Piastri was leading the championship and should be the one giving input? To me, that's a form of sabotage. Why are you listening to one driver and making things harder for the other? Especially when he's close to winning the championship and you've already given him odd strategies. If I blame anyone, it's not Norris. He doesn't make those choices. The team is giving him those benefits and advantages. So, look, the last person to blame for him wanting to boo is Zach Brown, because it's really questionable how he's done things. Suppose there was no sabotage, but we've seen they still handled things poorly and ruined Piastri's first win. Didn't he have to let him pass? Yes.
They did what they did in Italy.
They made a mess as a team, as a structure. So I wouldn't be surprised if the sabotage is just something simple like removing a screw. It's simply about giving attention to Norris, who wants the car set up for him, and the other guy just has to adapt. That's how it is.
I don't consider that sabotage, just preference, but I understand.
You're indirectly sabotaging him because he's winning the championship. By not giving him preference and taking away his tools, you're preventing him from continuing, which is sabotage.
Also, but then, so whose fault would it be then? Because if Piastri doesn't say, well, with this setup, I don't feel comfortable, raise the car for me. Let's suppose he just goes along because,
each person gets what they want.
Then why doesn't Piastri ask for it? If it's about the setup, I'm not sure. Maybe it's about them taking a risk with a more aggressive setup. If that aggressive change makes the car uncomfortable for Piastri, why doesn't he speak up? Just say, hey, put me back on the traditional setup I'm comfortable with.
Maybe I'll be slower with that setup.
What I'm getting at is left behind. If it stays, that could be it.
I see it as two scenarios where, as you said, taking more risk was needed.
To sacrifice
the car's stability. In order to catch up to Verstappen or keep things steady as they were, Verstappen evolved, Red Bull evolved, and to keep up, they had to take some risks with a setup that's more aggressive, which only Nando can really control. That's one thing. Also, Piastri's opinion doesn't matter. Let's follow Norris and have Piastri adjust.
Yeah, and if he can't adapt, yeah.
And that's it. It's the same thing. It's the same example, Max and Checo. Yes. All the attention is on Max. Checo says he struggles with this car, but it's not due to his driving skills. Simply, it's the same thing. You're giving all the tools to one driving style, and indirectly, you're sabotaging the other. So I think those two are possible for me. There aren't any more scenarios. Yes.
Nope.
Yeah, there aren't any more options, right? Yeah.
I don't think so either.
That he has.
No, I don't believe that. No, I don't think so. There have been cases, right? I would also say that the pressure from fighting for the title can have an effect, but I don't think that's the main reason why Piastri has had a drop in performance. I can believe he makes more mistakes under pressure and loses a tenth or two to Norris. I think Qatar will clear up many doubts, as it's a Grand Prix that suits Piastri's style. It's a circuit he likes, and the grip is much higher than it was in Mexico, Brazil, and Las Vegas. If in this Grand Prix we see a stronger Piastri, I think that will put an end to the doubts about whether they're sabotaging this guy. Yes, because it would be ridiculous for them to keep sabotaging him. Sorry, they said they weren't sabotaging him in the last two races, right? It wouldn't make sense. If you're going to sabotage him, then...
You just finish him off, man, but maybe now you can say the championship has gotten complicated. Now, either one of them can do it. Maybe now they need Piastri to be competitive, so if Norris messes up, Piastri can challenge Max.
Well, maybe, but I'm telling you, I think...
that it's a debate that, it's not crazy. We've already seen in the past how there are preferences for drivers and how there are very sudden changes in performance. We already have it. Let's see. How many said they know it's Checo's fault? He's not driving well. So, what happened? Lawson Tsunoda has already come to light. How were things? And now people are like, oh, it did happen, right?
No, and the thing with Checo has always been like that. It's always been that way. We've always known that Verstappen is the boss and master at Red Bull.
Yeah, of course. But Norris is basically Verstappen at McLaren.
Do you see it that way? Of course. Do you see it that way? That everything revolves around...
Norris.
Hey, Norris?
Look at the strategies they used on him.
I would love to do... we don't have time right now, but I would love to do a count of the papaya rules to see who has benefited the most. Well, here...
We'll put it here. This space will be for putting clippings, images, because it's wasted space. Yeah, we don't know how to decorate the room. We don't know anything about it. Let's see, I'm
trying to remember. First, we had the papaya rule from Canada, right? Sorry, from Australia. They told Norris not to overtake because they were handling it and waiting for the track to dry. And he said, this doesn't seem fair to me, but I accept it. I mean, it was a papaya rule in favor of Norris. Which one came next? I think it was Imola, right? That was when there was
Three very clear ones, and one they tried to hide because they had already messed up. And it was like, oh yeah, that's it. Or
I clearly remember the first one in Australia and this one from the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, right? About changing positions? Yes.
we have to take a good look because, we don't remember them clearly. Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
Not really. But I remember that, Twitter was full of, what the hell is this? I mean, why are they doing this to Piastri? Why are they doing this to Piastri? There was a clear tendency toward that.
I think I already know which one it is. When he tried being more aggressive in Austria, they said that maneuver was borderline. Don't do it again. More or less, that's what they said. I mean, it was a yes.
Stay put.
Don't be so aggressive. Yes, I think so. And that, and another thing they told him in Hungary when he was on the reverse strategy since he had better tires than Norris was that he was free to race. Doesn't that remind you of our racing? Warning him not to go.
Aggressive. In Hungary, you have to be aggressive to pass, right? Exactly. But did that happen? And when they've told Norris, be careful, don't act like that, and then coincidentally, the bad strategy goes to Piastri, I mean, honestly, there really has been a clear tendency to support Norris. Yes, there's a lot of conflict of interest.
But let's see, why? Do you remember when Valtteri Bottas was represented by this Toto Wolff? When did anyone mention conflict of interest? Because literally, he was a driver represented by Toto.
Are you saying Hamilton could win championships but was already being used as the wingman?
Yes, I mean, that's what I'm getting at. But at that time, no one, not even hinted. I mean, not even when he signed. It was like, oh, this is a conflict of interest because this isn't his.
Driver? I mean, yes, and it's...
A driver that generated a profit for him? Yes.
But it's different because he earned more from Mercedes than from what his represented driver made. But...
Well, even so, it's still a conflict of interest.
I mean, so...
Toto Wolff, for example, owns shares in Aston Martin. I've never seen anyone say that's a conflict of interest because he owns shares with him and with a rival team. I get what people mean, but...
It's even more direct, That part is more complicated because one thing is to represent them and another thing is to be a partner with
their company.
Directly with the pilot's company, right? And besides that, we're already seeing some questionable things about Piastri. When there's smoke, I'm telling you...
I honestly don't think so. And what I'm getting at is, if they were going to sabotage Piastri, why would they wait until the end of the season? I mean, what would be the point? Obviously.
But they're not going to leave him in P10 either, are they?
No, but, well, because...
If they're 2 or 3 tenths slower, they no longer need to. Why not?
Do you do it from the beginning of the season? I mean, if...
They wanted to see their options. Are they still developing the car? Do both cars need to be fast? No? Or...
I mean, I think if you had Norris as number one and you wanted to sabotage Piastri, but the sabotage...
So I think it's a matter of semantics. It's about preference. Norris sabotages Piastri because you're developing with Norris. As the season goes on, you start giving priority to what one of your drivers asks for, and the other one gets screwed, left with the scraps. That's sabotage. You're withholding tools I need while my teammate gets them. But even if you have them, it's not like they'll remove the doors.
So do both have essentially the same car? Well...
Exactly. We don't know.
The same car with which, I mean... The last update that McLaren had was before the Grand Prix of, I think it was Hungary, or one of those Grand Prix, and after that Hungarian Grand Prix. Norris still lost to Piastri on pace twice, in Belgium and the Netherlands. So, ever since the cars haven't been updated, was Piastri able to beat him? I don't think it was an update from anyone I know. An update where the rear suspension now rotates differently. Why? Can you give an example? And does that update directly benefit Norris's driving style and affect Piastri? There are many people who say that the update to Lando Norris's front suspension is clear evidence of favoritism. And indeed, either they created a suspension so that Norris would feel more comfortable, but they didn't force Piastri to use it in the first 2 races. With that update they installed since the Canadian Grand Prix, Piastri has been able to beat him. So, the reason Norris is faster than Piastri in those last races isn't the suspension, but it's...
It's not just that he's faster than Piastri. Other drivers are being faster than Piastri, or is it too much of a difference? If he beat him and Piastri still held second or third, you just call it a skill gap, right? The skill gap is often just 1 or 2 tenths, but it's still significant, especially for a Piastri who once dominated. No matter how many updates you add, the performance drop is just too great. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel natural to you, right? Yeah, it doesn't feel natural to me. And besides, there's the precedent that we've seen favoritism toward Norris. It's several pieces that, when put together, make it seem like something's going on. That's why I say it's still debated. I don't think it's crazy. It might not be, or it could be a performance drop, but maybe they are. Well, taking away the pressure.
Same pressure, right?
The pressure, that's what I call sabotage, because maybe they can say this.
Yes, because the problem is that
To trip someone up, well, maybe not that much, to trip someone up, as I just stopped paying attention to you.
the problem is that a lot of people, like when they hear sabotage, the first thing they think is, oh, I'm taking horsepower away from the car.
And
Things like that, right?
it could also be, or maybe it could also be, you know what? This bastard put something different. I don't know, the engine map put it on. Anything that might affect him could be the reason. They can do what they want, right? You're the main one. Do you want either of them to win? Don't you think he has the power to tell one of the mechanic engineers, hey, you're going to keep quiet, you're going to do this, you're going to put this on, you're going to take this off? I do.
I ran a Twitter poll for statistical purposes, asking people, do you think there's sabotage against Piastri? I asked them directly. Of about 1,000 poll votes, 52% think there's sabotage.
It is
Very open, not a conversation of not
conspiratorial.
only 10% or 20%, yes.
No, a minority those who believe it.
It's a large majority who believe they're sabotaging Piastri. But
Because, if you see that it's black and it stinks, well, it's a skunk, man. Do you see that there's favoritism? Did you notice he suddenly became useless out of nowhere? Norris was dominating too much. Because I'm not even saying, it's not like they were kind of even, right? Piastri was battling for 5th or 6th with Antonelli, Rossell, or the Ferraris when he should have been competing for the podium. It's happened in several races, not just once, even when he had a big advantage. Piastri. And then the whole issue with Zach Brown comes to light almost like as a punishment. It's like, why? Internally, we don't know their relationship. Piastri is well represented by Vettel's former teammate. Weber by Weber. And Weber experienced that firsthand, right? In person. The thing is,
you also see
that favoritism you see.
the conversations that Weber gives. He gave an interview saying Weber, like Piastri, needs to respond and find his best self. So it's one of two options. Assuming that the line of no preference for Piastri existed or Weber is doing a very bad job, what?
Sense does that make?
Did Weber really say that? That he's not making sure Piastri gets the same tools? Assuming there was one.
Did he not say that, or did he say that?
No, he didn't say that. He said directly.
No, it might close doors for him. He's not stupid. You can't criticize openly. It's like if Checo said, they don't take care of me. There are confidentiality issues, but
The same thing. Let's see.
you said,
A while ago, you said something very important. This could be Piastri's only chance to become world champion. We don't know how McLaren will perform later. Wouldn't you risk it all? Wouldn't you give it your all? Do you think they do this to him? Yes and no.
because they shut you out of Formula One, but do you...
Would they do this to Vettel, Verstappen, Hamilton, or Fernando Alonso? Would they stay quiet? Would they be like this? Or would they take it to the last consequences? We saw this with Fernando Alonso in 2007. When things got shady for Hamilton, Fernando never backed down.
Fernando Alonso is different.
Yes, that's why. That's my point. You have the chance. Wouldn't you be more vocal and energetic?
That's because it's a different era and there are different contracts.
I don't know.
For example, Checo wasn't competing for anything anymore and likely knew he might retire. And he had to accept everything, including the apology. He had to take it all. Let's see, are there contracts? If you talk too much, you'll get in trouble and other teams won't want you because of it. It's hard,
That always...
You also lack evidence, it's very difficult. Yes, weather?
How?
What, so my car's bad but his isn't?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're going to pull out the telemetry and demand that...
The world, make a PowerPoint of reasons why I'm not crap. I mean, you get me. I mean, no.
But look, to wrap up this part then, your prediction for world champion.
Max Verstappen. Max
Verstappen is going to win? He is.
to win the championship.
I feel that Lando Norris, I do. I think Lando has it very easy to win it. But I do think that if the results in Qatar make the title depend on Max, I mean, if just by winning he becomes world champion, Max will take it. I mean, if it doesn't depend on him, I don't think Norris will get that nervous. Enough to make so many mistakes that he opens the door for Verstappen. But if it's a race based purely on pace, whoever wins the race, Max will take it. I feel, but right now I'm about 70% sure he'll take it. Lando Norris. It all depends on Qatar. For me, the title is decided there. I think
there will be a performance drop from McLaren. Something will happen, making the team and drivers nervous. Verstappen, with the coldness he has, maybe he'll dominate this weekend. Norris makes a mistake in the race, ends up top 6, top 7, it's a mess, a final, whoever wins takes the championship. Yes, look, honestly, we'd like to see this too, for the show. No, let's see.
I've been on this ship since 2004 and I've only seen McLaren win the Drivers' Championship once. Let me be petty this time.
Wouldn't you like it to be something where they become champions in an epic way or something like that? Relax, I want
them to be champions. I'm tired of every weekend wondering how McLaren will mess up again. I'm just tired.
Going to happen, huh? It's going to happen because you said it, you already know they're going to mess up. I mean, are you jinxing them already? That's the worst. Man, how did you feel about this episode?
Well, good. It was good, right? The conversation was pleasant. The point isn't to act like top motorsport professionals just to have a conversation, right? Just like you would with a friend at a restaurant, bar, or party. Yes, we geeks talk about Formula Y.
Ultimately, they're just opinions. Some will agree, others won't. Fanaticism is also harmful. Just because we say, oh, I want this driver to win or that driver to win, doesn't mean we hate any of them. Oh, no.
Sorry.
It's never like that. You just prefer one over the other.
But, well, I think, Boostler, that with this, we're going to wrap up this little talk. I found it very pleasant and quite interesting. Obviously, as we said, we're just trying to give our opinions and share them in this little talk, taking advantage of the fact that it was the end of the season. But if you would like this to be something we do more regularly, let us know in the comments. Let us know if you would like us to continue with this format. And well, we would consider doing it more often, right? Try to make it a bit more professional, maybe turn it into a podcast or something like that. But well, that will depend on the people.
Yeah, let's see what we want to do. It's a conversation between two friends who watch Formula One, who make their comments, who have their opinions, to see which of you shares something with us. And besides, we're people who have been following Formula One for many years, I think at least more than 15 years. And we have a lot of experience when it comes to what we've seen, and the passion we have for this sport is totally real. Thank you to both your channel's community and those familiar with my content. For those who don't know me, I stream Formula One and my content is more as a streamer than this kind of offline stuff. Thank you to Skyline Racing for providing this space for our conversation and for making it more than just professional. We won't be bringing in models. No, that's not happening.
We're not going to bring them. Dude, that was the plan.
No, that's it. It's just that I already spent all the money with...
Excuse me, good evening. I'm coming.
I spent the money on the caps there.
You say goodbye, dude.
But is this one signed?